Before I begin, I would like to dedicate this speech to my lovely parents who have helped me out so much over the years. Thank you so much, Mom. I love you. Let us begin. Fellow classmates, family, friends, strangers, as well as ghouls, ghosts, goblins, and other assorted visitors. Here we are. We finally made it. And believe me when I say this, I am very, very excited to give this baccalaureate speech today. Now, to all you parents out there who are disappointed that your child wasn't the one voted to speak, I can assure you I'm going to give a much better speech than they would have. Of course, I've never had any reservations at all about giving any speech in the first place. Everyone who knows me knows I'm a pretty down-to-earth individual. For instance, I would never use a big word to sound perspicacious. Now, allow me to relate with you this anecdote. This past week, I found myself standing in a circle with a group of high school students from all over the city, and presently they asked, "Where do you go to high school?" I told them Ben Franklin. And do you know what they did next? They said that would explain the eye bags. As you can see, I've been practicing my rhetorical eloquence. Now, I understand that the teachers voted on Teacher of the Year themselves. Obviously, the most objective way to select who the best teacher is. So, of course, I had to make my own list of teacher superlatives, since not everyone can be Teacher of the Year. MVP is a tie between Mr. Quirk and Mr. Gonzalez the Elder, because somehow they were able to manage having me for 2 separate classes this year. Somehow. The smoothest dude in the room award goes to Mr. Swanson, sly dog. And of course, best freshman year homeroom goes to Jody. Of course. Well, best junior and senior year homeroom goes to Miss Serrano. Basically, any homeroom I was in was the best one. Now, as a class, we certainly are, well, an interesting bunch. Putting it squarely, I would venture to say that there are more characters in this class than on Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and the Disney Channel combined. Characters like my friend Darren Lee. He is truly one of a kind, a true prince of a man. A man so clean in mind and body, so to speak, he sweats Febreze. Which is weird, because Mr. Edie, that towering legend, started calling him Dirty Darren sophomore year. And now Mr. Quirk does too. Who knows, maybe they know something we don't. Now, speaking of the Disney Channel, did you all know that our own beloved alma mater was the site of the filming of the Disney Channel original masterpiece, Stuck in the Suburbs, from 2004. Some of you teachers who are around then might remember. Anyway, to give you an idea of the true artistic merit of this pillar of modern cinema, let me provide this description. Teenager Brittany is bored with her quiet suburban life. She finds excitement when her phone is switched with the phone of Jordan Cahill, only the top teen pop singer, has come to her town to make a music video. I got that from Wikipedia, Area 51 of online databases. Contrary to what you may have been led to believe on my incoherence thus far, this speech does have a point. The reason I bring up Disney in the first place is because when I saw that this tour de force, Stuck in the Suburbs, had been filmed at Franklin, I was struck with the very important role that Disney films have in our own development. These films introduced us to the classic battle between good and evil and the role of the individual in this internal struggle. Specifically, they taught us about the importance of heroes. I will abstain forthwith from any mention of the hero's journey, with my apologies to literally the entire English department. For instance, who among my peers here today hasn't at some point in their childhood wanted to take up arms to defend China against the invading Huns in Mulan, while singing "I'll Make a Man Out of You"? Disney, to an extent, introduced us to the difference between right from wrong, to always side with the forces of good, and always to take the hero's path. So now I pose this question to the class of 2015. Who are your heroes? This is where it gets serious. Now, I'm always ready to have a discussion about who's better between Batman and Superman, but I believe that for this situation, it would be much more suitable to provide you a real-life scenario from history. Now, I know that Mr. Gussman, Mr. Quirk, and my 2B stats class have all heard this spiel before, but bear with me. The hero of mine who I'd like to share with you today is a man named Thomas E. Dewey. No, I am not talking about a trailblazing librarian. I'm talking about the former governor of New York. Now, the more astute of you will remember Dewey from the infamous Chicago Daily Tribune headline, erroneously proclaiming him the upset winner of the 1948 presidential elections over Harry Truman. And really, in the popular consciousness, that's all we remember about Dewey, that he lost the election to Harry Truman, who, incidentally, is another hero of mine, but that's another story for another place. Dewey the man, in my opinion, serves a better spot in history than that. Dewey's story is a story of service. He started off in the law, working as a lucrative corporate lawyer on Wall Street in the late 1920s and early 1930s, where some of his clients were the men who helped ignite the Great Depression. Obviously, that's not why he's a hero. During this time, New York had a serious organized crime problem, led by mobsters like Lucky Luciano and Mayor Lansky, as well as a serious political corruption problem, as the infamous Tammany Hall organization held sway over the land. Dewey could have easily stayed in his law practice for the rest of his life, quietly living off the fruits of his labor. Indeed, many of us here would have been tempted to do the same thing. The thing about heroes, however, is that they are the ones who are willing to make the choice that does not necessarily benefit themselves personally, but does benefit the world around them. That is what Dewey did. He took up an offer from the mayor of New York City at the time to become a special prosecutor to bring down the mob at Tammany Hall. Needless to say, he was very successful in his job. He took on the mob and brought down Lucky Luciano, as well as bringing down a ring of Nazi spies. These successes would eventually jumpstart his career as Manhattan District Attorney and eventual governor of New York. His choice of service, to take on crime instead of taking a fact check, is why he's one of my personal heroes. I would like to challenge the class of 2015 to consider your own personal heroes. Do they possess the heroic traits of honor, bravery, and selflessness? If they do, how can you emulate them on a day-to-day basis? How can you go out of your way to be a hero, even to a total stranger? Because if we did act like our own heroes, who knows what type of magnificent world we would live in. So now, I bid farewell to the class of 2015, and I pose you now this question. Who are your heroes? Thank you.